Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place.
Beneath the Hawthorne Medical Labs in Los Angeles, California, lies one of Vault-Tec's most sinister experiments, Vault 4. If we follow the Fallout timeline, our first look at Vault 4 is in 2077, when a commercial featuring esteemed Hollywood actor Cooper Howard was filmed. The advertisement detailed the Vault's amenities, safety features, as well as its intended purpose, which was to be governed by a number of scientists who specialized in the effects of radiation on human DNA. Cooper then introduces us to Lloyd and Cassandra Hawthorne, who along with their 2 children would be 4 of the 80 other volunteers who signed up to live in the vault for a 5-year trial to demonstrate to potential buyers that society could in fact survive inside of a vault. When the Great War came and the vault was sealed, the experiment officially began, with Lloyd Hawthorne acting as overseer. While the advertisement was correct in claiming that the vault would be governed by scientists, what it failed to mention was that the scientists would have no restrictions or limits when it came to their experiments and research, which, as we see in the TV show, would lead the scientists to conduct a series of inhumane and unorthodox experiments. These experiments would involve luring unsuspecting surface dwellers into Vault 4 and splicing their DNA with radiation-resistant species which mutated them in a variety of ways. While some of these mutations were minor, others transformed the subjects into horrifying creatures, unrecognizable from a human. Each experiment was carefully recorded on video for analysis, and they would continue for an unspecified amount of time until eventually some of the Vault's test subjects escaped captivity and released the creatures known as gulpers onto their captors. And in their final recorded log, Overseer Hawthorne and his wife can be seen trying to barricade themselves outside of their laboratory. In the log, Overseer Hawthorne unapologetically insists that their experiments hybridizing humans with radioactive resistant species still had potential for a breakthrough, and that a society governed by scientists was still the ideal social structure despite the circumstances they found themselves in. But before he could finish the recording, the gulpers managed to break through the barricade, eating both him and his wife alive and presumably killing off the rest of the scientists. Afterwards, the subjects that managed to keep their sanity would be the sole inhabitants of Vault 4, and would establish a democratic society within the vault, keeping it maintained with the help of surface foraging parties, returning with gear, spare parts, and other supplies. In addition, the residents would attend to any subjects who could not be cured of whatever experiment was inflicted upon them. These subjects would indefinitely be placed within stasis pods on level 12 until the new residents of Vault 4 could come up with a cure for whatever mutation was inflicted upon them during the Vault's experiments. As time went on, the residents would discover that the genetic damage inflicted by their previous captors was indeed hereditary, which led to subsequent generations having random mutations such as additional noses, glowing eyes, and in the case of their future overseer, a single eye in the place of the usual 2. Despite this, the vault would continue to prosper for years, until 2277 when the city of Shady Sands was nuked by Hank McClane of Vault 33, which I covered in a previous video plugged here. Some of the refugees from Shady Sands sought asylum within Vault 4, to which the residents would decide to not only give them shelter, but also integrate them into Vault society. As a means of remembering their past, the refugees would hold regular history lessons detailing their once great city to keep the memory of Shady Sands alive. In addition, they also regularly held religious rituals, which involved setting up an altar covered in items such as produce, candles, and pictures of NCR President Aaron Kimball, and covering themselves in ashes and blood while nude, which was meant to symbolize bringing back their people and the city they had lost. They also worshipped a figure known as the Flame Mother, also known as Lee Moldaver, a pre-war figure and the current leader of the NCR remnants who they revered as their savior. As for why they worshipped her in this manner, well, no one knows, but perhaps the fact that she has lived for over 200 years may have something to do with it, and hopefully we can find out more in Season 2. The Vault 4 residents considered these rituals to be too weird for them, but despite their cultural differences, the two groups managed to coexist harmoniously within Vault 4. By the year 2296, our main characters, Lucy and Maximus, were scavenging for medical supplies within Hawthorne Medical Labs when they were trapped and dropped down the hatch, originally used by the Vault scientists to capture unsuspecting wastelanders. After they came to, they discovered that the facility was actually a vault filled with peaceful dwellers who offered them shelter and medical assistance. Initially, Lucy found this place to be wonderful, while Maximus was suspicious that the residents were a part of a cult. Lucy didn't suspect anything was wrong with Vault 4 until she was introduced to Overseer Benjamin, who had a mutation in which he only had one eye in the place of two. The two then began noticing the other dwellers had mutations as well, and were warned to stay out of level 12, which made Lucy suspicious that these people were hiding something. Her suspicions begin to grow during a meeting with the Overseer. During this meeting, she inquires to Overseer Benjamin about level 12, to which he gets offended and asks her to leave. After this meeting, Lucy's suspicions about the nature of this vault begin to peak when she witnesses the previously mentioned Flame Mother ritual led by the character of Birdie with the former residents of Shady Sands. After being frightened by what she saw, she would proceed to defy the Overseer's orders and investigate level 12, all the while Maximus was enjoying the perks of vault life, including hot showers, caviar, and slippers. Once Lucy reached level 12, she would discover remnants of Vault 4's original experiment, as well as the cryopods holding the test subjects the new Vault dwellers were unable to save. In addition, she also found a video recording of a woman giving birth to a school of gulpers, which proceeded to eat her alive. Lucy, horrified and unable to determine what she was seeing, concluded that the denizens of Vault 4 must be responsible for these horrific experiments. However, before she could leave, she was discovered by the vault doctor, who had security capture and imprison her inside the vault. She would then be met by Overseer Benjamin and Birdie, who would then explain to her what she saw, revealing Vault-Tech's experiment and how the new residents were only trying to ease the pain of the former test subjects. Upon hearing this revelation, Lucy would apologize and plead for mercy, but despite her ignorance, she was to be put on trial in the atrium of Vault 4. The residents of Vault 4 would sentence her to death, not by execution, but by banishment, leaving her with 2 weeks of supplies to survive on the surface. Just as relief began to wash over Lucy, Maximus, who was unaware that they were letting her go, would steal the Vault's fusion core for his power armor and demand that they let her go, taking out several Vault security guards in the process before Lucy tells him that they weren't going to execute her. Personally, I thought this whole scene was hilarious. Look at how the security guard goes flying after Maximus hits him. Look at how he just fucking launches the Nuka-Cola machine and accidentally destroys Lucy's supplies. Absolute comedy gold. Maximus definitely has the idiot savant perk. After that little hiccup, they return to the surface, and Lucy tells Maximus that the dwellers will die without their fusion core, and that he should return it. He is hesitant at first, but he eventually travels back to the Hawthorne Medical Facility and chucks the fusion core down the hatch where they originally discovered Vault 4, which presumably means that Vault 4's residents will get to continue to live on and prosper. Alright guys, that was the lore of Vault 4. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day.